Connor, that's it for the news. Let's move on to what we've been playing. I have been playing The Quarry, but I haven't beaten it yet. And it's a shorter experience, and it's such a narrative-driven experience that before I even really give any full review or impressions on it, I want to beat it. So I'm gonna come back next week with The Quarry review. Early impressions are really, really positive though so far. So I'll say that. But you, my friend, have been playing a little game called Gundam Evolution. Talk to me about this, Connor.
Gundam Overwatch is the term that I literally keep saying. Not, it started as a joke, but I have to catch myself whenever I say Gundam Evolution because it's very similar to Overwatch. It's a hero shooter, a multiplayer 6v6 game. It's not like Overwatch where these characters have like tons of personalities because they're Gundams. Gundam is an anime series that goes back a long, long time, and so for that reason has a lot of different mechs, Gundams that are in the franchise that can be used in this game, and they have a pretty good, solid roster. It's not as big as Overwatch, but it doesn't need to be because I think these characters, at least the game itself, I believe, just works for me more than Overwatch does because it's, like I said, it's very much like Overwatch. You have your heroes, your Gundams, who have 3 abilities, and then they have an ult tied to Q. Now, all of them also have a sprint, or rather a sprint bar that can be also used to dash. And this can be different for each individual Gundam. So some will have 3, some will have 1, some will have 2. But then some have a weird way to move, which is where even when you're just moving normally, when you stop, you glide a little bit more to carry you on a little bit longer. So the Zaku 2 has 3 dashes that, even though, for someone like the, okay, I'm getting too hooked up in the names of the Gundams since that might be a little
you jumped into the deep end and lost me real quick here, buddy. Pull it back here.
There'll be one Gundam that can, dash 3 times because he has 3 separate bars. But due to the fact that he has that drift from his movement, he's able to move a lot farther distance as a result of that. So he turns into this very close quarters, hit and run type character with a smoke and with grenades. There's another one that's very only melee focused that goes around one-shotting people with like a dive smash and can charge up his attack really big and smash an opponent to the ground. Which is where the separation between the 2 types of units come in, because there's melee and then there's ranged. And within the ranged, there's close quarters, long range, and mid range weapons that they hold, because characters don't have 2 weapons. It's just one that has a function of, whether it's a long range sniper that can one-shot enemies in the head, but has effectively no way to fight up close because it just, the shot goes wide when you're shooting from the hip. To close range little blasters that, even though they do very small amounts of damage and have low accuracy, the farther the bullets travel, the closer the enemy is to you, the more effective it is in terms of damage and in terms of its accuracy. With some other guns retaining accuracy even at long ranges. Like I said, those mid-range, long-range guns. In addition to that, these abilities are all relatively varied. They all do different things. So some of these shooters can do these hero shooters, hero multiplayer games can get kind of samey with its characters. Well, this one's able to retain a lot of individuality with each individual unit, especially since there's multiple characters that fit into these different ranges. So you can always find at least someone that fits with a certain playstyle that you want to dive into and play as. All the objectives are team-based. You plant the bomb on the location. If you're able to blow up the 2 bombs and hold the point while it's getting ready to blow up, you get that point and you go on to the next one. And there's a defender and attacker side. Typical objective-based gameplay that's not super varied. What else to say about?
So is it just this like capture the point type stuff? Like, is that the only game mode or
no, one of them? One of them is capture the point. It's like King of the Hill. You control the zone and then you hold it down for as long as you can prevent the enemy from taking it back. Like I said, there's one where you have to go to the bomb site, plant the bomb, as you're seeing right here. And once that goes all the way down, up the bar, it blows up, and then you have another point to go to. And if you get it all the way through, good for you. You get 2 points. And then it switches over, if you were attacker, to defender, so now you're defending those points. And you just have to prevent them from getting as many ticks as you did. Like I said, it's very similar to Overwatch in determining who wins and who loses.
Since that mode almost sounds Valorant, like with the CS:GO type influence.
Yeah, just but you're constantly respawning, so it's not like you need to be super careful because you die once.
Gotcha.
You can die tons of times, and the gameplay is very fast. These dashes, like for that I was going into earlier, allow for very quick traversal and quick movement during combat. So it's not like, oh, you got the drop on someone, so you're able to shoot them a bunch. You can dash away to health kits, which is the main way to heal. You could disappear with, like I said, allow you to completely turn invisible and invincible as well, so you can escape from that combat zone very quickly. Like I said,
is there a big focus on like different class types, like your support, your tank, your DPS, your damage per second, or your assault classes like that, or is it really just like all right, there's melee based, there's range based, and then everybody just kind of coordinate together? That way.
That's more of what they have, which is why I was pointing that out earlier, because they don't have traditional classes. Now, there is a unit that does heal, multiple units that heal, and with only one of them is actually like solely a healer role. The other ones can just do it, and it's not exactly centered around healing. But they have that in their kit, so you do it to make them survive a little bit longer in a fight without having to go to those med kits.
It's just a lot of it is around their abilities rather than like their purpose.
Yes, and there's only like one tank unit, and very useful to use both of these guys because it's best to have a designated healer, and there's a really good reason to have the guy that can soak up all the damage. But by and large, all of them are more defined by the weapons they use and whether you like their abilities or not, which makes it a lot less restrictive off of comp. Because even though there can't be multiple units of the same Gundam, you can basically choose whatever is picking your fancy at that time and not be like, oh, you can't play that character because we need a dedicated Lapumafum, and if we don't do that, we can't take the point. Something which can kind of get old in Overwatch.
Yeah, that's what turned me off of Overwatch is, I got relegated to the support class, to the healer role, and then because of that, I never got any practice in with any other role, so I could never play any other role.
Yeah, and that's annoying when that happens. Yeah. Really, really is annoying. And this game doesn't have that problem. Everyone, you hopefully find a unit you like, and you play them. It has the typical things that games like this have nowadays, where you can buy a battle pass to unlock, rewards. You can unlock loot boxes, tickets to loot boxes, and whatnot. And the cool feature it does do is that even though the battle pass is exclusive for the most part, there's certain tiers, which of course you level up as you play the game, regardless of whether you have the battle pass or not. You just only get the rewards if you did buy it. You still get some free rewards at certain levels, so it does trickle down and give you some more stuff as you play the game. This, along with challenges that you can complete, do the same thing. They can give you in-game currency, though some of those are also locked behind a battle pass, which, it's kind of sucks because even though you might have to pay to get these challenges unlocked, a lot of the challenges are locked behind doing these things behind certain characters, which can just kind of force you to play characters you otherwise wouldn't want to do when you could just have the challenge straight up. Because it's not even like Gundam specific challenges. It's like win 3 matches, and it just gives you a list of Gundams that you have to do that in. And if you don't do it, you don't get progression to that battle pass, which is something that they definitely should change. It is weird. I wouldn't.
There's a little too many there's too many variables on that.
Yeah. So the battle pass, I would want to change a bit more. Additionally to the battle pass, they have some characters that are locked behind paywalls. Now, that makes sense because the game is free, and a vast majority of the characters are playable, and you can just completely enjoy your time playing this game based off that alone. But if you do decide to go and buy the units, obviously you can do it with money, which, I did because I just wanted to get as much value out of this game for as long as it lasted. But there is in-game ways to, get to that end anyway. Like, for example, one of the things it did was it gave me like 1,000 gold for something. I don't remember what the hell it gave. No. I'm sorry. It gave me 1,000 blue box things, whatever their currency is.
Their currency, whatever it is.
Yeah. It gave me 1,000 of them, and if I get to like 1,950, I can unlock one of those locked units without having to pay. And it's pretty achievable with those big jumps in-game currency, and you constantly unlocking them through daily challenges, which you do have access to even if you don't have the battle pass. So, it still gives you something to work for as far as progression goes, along with a ranked mode and leveling up, as many of these games do have. But a lot of the enjoyment of the game comes from just the fact that these Gundams are so universal They don't really need to be played as a part of a comp, and they play all very well. There's not one that people look at and say, "Why are you playing that character? Get off of them." Everyone has value, and as long as you're good at the game, you'll, bring that value to your players with whatever unit you play. It's extremely fun to play with friends. It's obviously a coordinated game, so the more people you have in your party to play with and cooperate with, the better you tend to do, which is very important because for some reason this game, when you're playing with randoms, is a lot more of a damper on things if your team isn't good. Where you can sometimes make up for games like Valorant by just being really good. With this one, there's only so much you can do in that setting, especially with the way damage works, because you can sometimes die super, super quickly, but it's not like Valorant where everything kills you quickly. Or CSGO, it kills you everything quickly. And then there's other things that'll take forever to kill you, kind of like Overwatch, which extends out these battles into more long-form ones. Or short, depending on how the game's played.
Yeah, I was going to say, talk to me about the shooting here, because I'm seeing a lot of... it almost looks like some Halo-esque type gunplay here going on with
so
kind of how the guns work here.
The unit they're using for this demo is my least favorite because it's the assault weapon class, the assault rifle, the automatic rifle. He's the Soldier 76. He has his heal. He has like a little incendiary grenade that he can use, and he can slow down the movement of other opponents. But the gun itself doesn't really play all that fun. So this gameplay maybe isn't the best show of how fun the gameplay can be, because each unit has their own guns. So for example, the units that I play, one of them is the Overw I. It has a mid-range semi-automatic rifle. Kind of fires at the same rate as maybe like a bolt rifle would play in a Call of Duty game. And it's very long range and gets really high damage off headshots and is satisfying to play. The Suzaku, one of the only tank unit that I was talking about before, has a shotgun that's very, amazing at close range, but even though it can slowly put on damage, it at a long range isn't the most effective. The unit that's being shot right now, the Zaku ranged as opposed to the Zaku melee. It has a kind of like a super fast firing SMG gun that has terrible, terrible range, but if you get up on people and just unload into them, it just eradicates their health bar in like an instant. And they're that unit I was talking about earlier that's able to do really effective hit and run tactics, so it melds really well to the character. This is the Gundam. Has a similar weapon to the Overw I. I'm not too familiar with it myself, so I'll move on to something else. The Dom Trooper has a rocket launcher that has a large amount of splash damage, and it's devastating if you can hit at front.
Okay, so there is a lot more variety here in terms of gunplay than what I was showing initially. Okay.
Everyone, see, this is the drum one, super super quick, but it has a small clip. That's one of the melee units. He has just a giant mace, so he's running around with those 3 dashes you see at the bottom and can just knock back a bunch of opponents, kind of like a Reinhardt melee weapon, but you die quicker, so you kind of got to be more careful and seek out those lone wolves and try and eliminate them by yourself, since he's hard to deal with mono a mono.
Okay,
yeah, kind of like dual pistols, dual automatic pistols.
Interesting.
And that's the healing unit, sniper rifle.
Okay, yeah, all right, we get to hear it. But does it feel good to shoot guns and stuff? Like, is it feeling impactful and so forth?
Yes, it does, and not all of them do, but that's just personal preference, obviously. So, like I said, there's a lot of variety in the guns. So you try one, you don't like the gun, and as you go on to something else, you'll like it a lot. Or hopefully you'll like it a lot.
Interesting. Okay.
A lot of variety. See, that's one of the short-range blaster that I was mentioning earlier. Really good close range, bad long range. Genji weapon. The throwing knife.
I was like, because on the YouTube stats it's the most replayed, and I was like, why is this one the most replayed? Okay,
yeah,
because it's the most weeb. Okay, gotcha.
This character is annoying as hell to deal with. Yeah, but he's that's the one I was talking about before. You can scoop with it. Yeah.
There we go. All right, continue. I'm sorry, I interrupted here.
No, you're good.
Gunplay, all that. It's interesting to me that you say that like you have a lot more fun with more friends and so forth, because it just doesn't look like that type of game that like sure, teamwork will carry you further than lesser teamwork, but it on the surface it looks like a game that you could just play solo.
You can. I should mention that. Yeah, you definitely can, and you're gonna have, at least in my case, I'm gonna have fun with it because I like the fight. I like the thrill of the game itself. I'm not necessarily one person who needs to win. What I said earlier is more delegated just to people, to winning. So if you want to win more effectively, playing with a team is the best way to do it. But by yourself, perfectly serviceable game. And I have played it by myself because it's fun.
Let me how does this, in terms of just movement and game feel, is this closer to Overwatch, or is it like almost like sort of like a bit of a speedier Titanfall like type feeling?
It's speedier. Yeah, it's like I would rather say like a speedier Overwatch. You know, you kind of have the
speedier Overwatch.
Yeah, yeah. You can also jump and glide, so you can. There's a lot more. You know,
I'm talking specifically game feel, not structure or design, like how it feels to move throughout the world and shoot guns and so forth.
Well, that definitely does matter because it's very floaty.
Okay.
From gliding in the air to dashing, because dashing.
Yeah, I'm seeing some of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, some units do glide when they dash, some other ones don't. But even if they don't, movement can still go very far. You can use one dash and use it to turn around a corner very quickly and get away from the enemy units, which is something you're gonna have to do a lot because one of the main ways to heal is with health packs. Like this one right here, one of the only healing units. So running around to get out of the firefight, to get to the closest health pack, and then get right back into the fight because every second matters, it adds to that whole speediness element of the game. But it's not as like movement heavy as Titanfall, obviously, where you're able to glide on rolls and go faster as a result.
I meant
of that.
specifically when you're in the Titans.
Oh, it's way more fluid than when you're in the Titans.
Okay.
Way more fluid. Yeah, it's like I said, floaty, but in a controlled way. I don't feel like I die as a result of the movement being bad and messing me up. I do it just because I didn't get out of the fight fast enough and my health was too low and I was too exposed for too long. You know, movement.
Shout out IGN.
Got it down right away. Yeah, right. They just done a ton of it. My God,
Lord alive. All right, awesome. Anything else you want to put on Gundam Evolution here?
I guess just that I hope they constantly add more things to the game because, like I said, the Gundam franchise has numerous Gundams. So many ways they can diversify play styles by diving into more Gundams and offering it to the players. I just hope maybe they do it in a way where maybe you don't have to buy every single character.
Yeah.
Because the ones that were, I think it was 5 characters, 4, and I want to say 4 that were locked behind that paywall I was talking about. So, you know, with how great they can, I guess realistically they probably won't make them free because it is a free game. Yeah. But it make it a lot more. It make a lot more people open to playing the game in the first place if they just were to make more characters and make them more accessible rather than just having to buy them all the time. So I'm just hoping the game has a future because my worry about how the game was going to end up in the near future was people are going to fall off on it, which is why I bought two of the characters because I wanted to at least get the whole enjoyment out of this game, even if I'm just going to play it for a short while. So I'm worried if it lasts, and I hope it does because I want to keep playing this game.
There we go. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Two Penny Games Cast, episode 116. Thank you so much for that review of Gundam Evolution, Connor. Remember, you can catch this podcast every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygamescast, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Please stick around. Keep an eye out for further reviews and further YouTube shorts and TikToks dropping. Remember, we are on TikTok, 2 Penny Games. And until next time, have a great time. Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.